Hello, and thank you for listening to ACM's Vault of Cult. This is the 4th episode of the first series. Thanks to everyone who's listened to the first 3. I've really enjoyed doing them, looking back on some of my favourite films growing up, showing them to people who haven't seen them before, and then having a conversation about their thoughts on the films. So far, so good. They seem to have liked all the films I've showed them. Maybe not you guys so much. The feedback for the Super Mario Brothers movie, the last episode, wasn't quite so positive as with the others, but still a film I enjoyed and my guest enjoyed as well. This week's episode, I'm really, really excited about firstly rewatching it and then having a chat. I'm going to watch it soon with the guys who are going to discuss the film with me. It's the second movie from the 80s we're doing to feature a werewolf. This film bombed at the cinema when it came out in America. I'm not even sure if it got a cinema release in the UK. It's one I rented as a kid over and over again, actually, and a small group of friends in school done the same thing. We all loved it. It was kind of like our little secret, and it's nice to know that all these years later other people enjoyed the film too. It really has got a big cult following in America now, and a small one over here, aided by multiple screenings on TV throughout the 90s and 2000s, and I think many people rented it like we did. It had a budget of 12 million and only made just under 4 million, so that's a pretty big flop. I'm talking about The Monster Squad, a film deemed as a Goonies rip-off, but it really isn't. There's so much more than that. I hope the guys who watch it with me enjoy it as much as I do, and this is one I have been very excited about. I haven't seen it for a few years. I've dug out my DVD copy of the 20th anniversary of it, and that came out 13 years ago. I think I've probably watched it twice since then. So let's see what they thought of it. Okay, we've just watched The Monster Squad. I'm joined by...
It is I, Owen, making my glorious return.
Thank you very much.
I'm Andrew. You can't get rid of me.
You're the only one who's been on every show so far.
Yeah, despite your best efforts.
Yeah. And you two are a musical duo, yes?
Well, a duo, certainly. Yeah. The Pookaji Players.
Wait, they're like the Wild Stallions, as in, we never hear a song. And joining us for the first time is...
Luke, but some people better know me as DJ Torrent from the Nerdyverse on our radio.
Yes, so we've got a DJ with us who's a bit of a nerd, aren't you?
Yes, very much so.
Excellent. So none of you had seen this film before the screenings, and basically, what was your perception of it going in? Had you heard much about it?
I think I'd only heard of it sort of a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago, when we started talking about some of your other films about this podcast, and it come up and I thought, that sounds amazing, but I'd never heard anything about it at all beforehand. Not at all.
Either of you have to heard of it before?
I've heard of it starting to pick up a big cult following, and what some other an internet critic online started he put it on top of his list of what he called the new Halloween classics. I thought, I thought because you're showing this and because I'm interested, I thought I'll come and watch it, and I'll leave my thoughts for later on, but...
Yeah, I sense you enjoyed it. Had you heard of it?
All I really knew was sort of Goonies meets Universal Monsters, and it delivered.
Yeah. Well, that's to do a bit of background. The director-writer, Frank Decker, actually, he said he came up with the idea of Little Rascals meets... Because he grew up watching Little Rascals movies and the Universal Monsters, but this was made a few years after the Goonies, so I think it might be an influence that he probably didn't want to mention in interviews because it's been compared to it so much. Yeah. And the same actress plays the mum of the lead character. I forget her name actually, and she played the mum in both movies, and was in the Lethal Weapon films, which was written by one of the co-writers who we'll mention in a bit. And another reference, I don't know if you guys picked up, but one of the characters keeps saying "Hey you guys" and "you guys," which is the big line from the Goonies. And I don't know if that's a coincidence or they've just sort of thrown that in.
Oh, if you want to know the name, it's Mary Ellen Trainor.
That's the one. You've got the internet. I've got my notes, which my handwriting is terrible, as we know from before. But Frank Decker only directed one film before this, a movie in 1986 called Night of the Creeps. I don't know if anyone's seen that.
No.
That's
seen
one
clips from it.
It's pretty cool. It's one I hadn't seen until a couple of years ago. It got re-released on Blu-ray, and it's just a big B-movie mashup type film. Zombies and stuff, more adult than this. It's about older teenagers opposed to kids. There is a little reference to the Monster Squad in it. There's a scene where someone's killed in a toilet, and written in graffiti on the wall is Go Monster Squad. And that's because this film was being written while that was being made, and that film flopped as well. But this had already got...
I think, if I remember correctly, isn't that one quite tongue-in-cheek itself?
It is, yeah. It's
yeah, I think I've already seen another internet critic mention it before.
Yeah, it's kind of it is a big sort of homage spoof almost.
Yeah.
And they both contain the lines "Dead guys don't get up" and walk away themselves, which is in both films. And back then, I think there was the momentum of the director, Frank Decker, had written the film House, which was a big hit. So on the back of that, he got these two films. And I think nowadays Monster Squad probably wouldn't have even got made, or they'd have just let him do the script or something because of the flop of Night of the Creeps, which is well worth watching. And it's basically a film student who went on to do these massive B-movie fan, and obviously the Universal monster films, which were an influence for this. After this, he didn't work for quite a while. He'd done a few episodes of Tales from the Crypt in 1990, and then was given the role of RoboCop 3, and he hasn't directed anything since.
Oh, that was his fault, was it?
Well,
I think it's partly studio interference.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I really like Monster Squad, obviously, and Night of the Creeps. RoboCop 3, it took me 3 attempts to get through, so
I never made it to the end.
It's not good. But he recently has worked again, co-writing The Predator, which was 2 years ago with Shane Black, who we've got to mention.
That as well.
Yeah. They both worked on The Predator, and Shane Black, who is the name behind the film, really, who people remember. He has directed as well, hasn't he? Because he directed Iron Man 3, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, and he did actually direct The Predator, didn't he?
Yeah.
The new one.
Yeah, the new one. Yeah.
He directed The Predator. Yeah.
But made his name writing Lethal Weapon, which came out the same year, I believe, as Monster Squad, 1987. And Last Action Hero he wrote as well, which is another flop, which I think is quite good.
There's another one I want to check out. I heard to think about it as well.
Yeah, that's actually on Netflix, I believe.
Got his names are all of the action films, really, isn't he?
Yeah. And there's influences in that in this movie, I think, with the sort of the cops in it. There's this very Lethal Weapon, the dad of the main kid, who is an actor who's been in lots of stuff. Usually playing the cop and or dad. 95 credits. You'll all recognise him when you see him. Mainly TV movies and stuff.
Stephen Macht.
Yes.
Yeah.
His son's in Suits.
Is he? Which one is he?
He's the main guy. What, Harvey Specter?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Gabriel Macht.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Is he the one who also played the Spirit?
Yes.
Yeah. Let's find out
Oh
about
yeah. I did. Well, Suits in it. I'm not really a fan.
That's probably a fair response, isn't it?
A good friend of mine's a massive fan, and I've watched loads of it just by being around her house.
Went on a bit, didn't it?
Yeah, but I've made her watch some right shite, so it all evens out.
Yeah.
But the main lad, Sean, and I reckon he might be named after the actor who played the lead in the Goonies.
Oh yeah.
Possibly, yeah.
He was sort of on TV and stuff before this. The A-Team, Highway to Heaven, T.J. Hooker. His debut was in 1979. He must have been really young.
Yeah.
And he was actually friends with the guy who played, is it Patrick, his best friend?
Oh, right.
And he pushed the producers to get him to play it.
He looks really familiar, the main lad. I can't think of anything else specific.
I think he's got that face.
Yeah.
And that's probably why he was cast.
Even looking like now, he still has that face. Like I'm pretty sure I've seen him and stuff.
I don't know if I don't know about that, but he made a documentary about this called Wolfman's Got Nards, which I haven't seen. I really want to.
Yeah.
And he's interviewed in there's another documentary which is on the 20th anniversary DVD, just called The Monster Squad Forever, and he just looks like a bigger, taller version of as a kid. He hasn't really aged that much.
No.
So, but I think he's pretty good in it, pretty solid as a.
He's got very good. He realistically kind of seems like the kind of kid who'll be able to get this ragtag group of kids together.
Yeah, he's the leader, which kind of works. I think all the cast are pretty good.
Yes,
we've got Scary German guy who's familiar from. That's the only name
Yeah.
He has, isn't it? And
Yes.
is it Leonard Kimino? Is
I think so.
Yeah, he died in 2012, aged 94, and was in loads of stuff. Dune v Moonstruck, the Nicolas Cage comedy, and Waterworld he was in as well. It's a film, I might actually do Waterworld for this, but I think a lot of people have seen it.
Yes.
And also the films we've picked are kind of fun, which Waterworld isn't.
Not deliberately anyway.
No. And what else you mentioned? Oh yes, the sort of third lead. There's the best friend, who the actor's quite good and not in much else, kind of just your average sidekick kind of kid, but good performance. And then there's Horace, or Fat Kid.
Fat kid.
Yeah, I think I was going to say the thing less about to say about Eugene. I think thinking of it the better.
Oh, Eugene was the kid wasn't even an actor who played Eugene. He was just in it and. Kind of all right. He's the younger one, and the two right young actors, him and the girl Phoebe,
yes,
would have been about 5 or 6. Phoebe, the actress, would turn down a role in Fatal Attraction to be in this, because she thought it would be more fun, and more likely her parents saw she'd get more money from it. Is probably what happened. And she still acts, and I'm trying to find her name.
Ashley Bank.
Ashley Bank, that's it. Yeah,
she's really good.
Yeah.
That's kid actors. Yeah.
Yep.
So
she's got really good. She's got really good comedic timing.
Yeah. She very, very good for when she considered she'd been 5 or 6.
Yes, like literally her acting's like on point in that film.
Yeah. I'm trying to find the name of the one who played Fat Kid, because he.
But Clem.
Yeah, that's the one. You've got IMDb up, and I've got notes and holding a microphone. Yeah. Brent Calliam, is that his name? But he retired from acting. The last thing he was in 1989, he'd done 2 episodes of Quantum Leap, which is one of my favourite TV shows ever.
Quantum Leap is a classic. I do love that show.
Yeah, and he retired from acting, I think, to become an accountant or something, and sadly died in. He was 22 when he died. I think he died in 97 or something. Leukemia, which is really sad. And there's interviews from on the documentary I've seen, and they're just saying what a generally nice kid he was. All the others would sort of make fun of, pick on the little girl as kids would, and he wouldn't, and was just really polite and asked after her and stuff. There's the guy who played Frankenstein said that the little girl really annoyed him throughout the film, because she was just. Sort of poking him about and asking him why he's not higher up the bill. He said on.
I don't know if that ruins or improves the dynamic those two characters.
That's
Tom Noonan.
Tom Noonan is the actor's name. He's been in loads of stuff. 12 Monkeys TV series, one of the most recent. Both him and Dracula stayed in character while filming.
Brilliant. Just imagine being method on a film like this.
Well, exactly. The guy who played Frankenstein just wouldn't talk to them normally. I think Dracula did occasionally, and he didn't want the kids to see him out of the makeup. And he really annoyed the guy who played Rudy, the sort of older kid, because he thought he was cooler, and he just wouldn't go out. And he annoyed the makeup guys so much that they played pranks on him by sticking his eyelids together and stuff while they were doing it. But he's a good actor, and he speaks back on the film really fondly, and I think he's just one of those proper actor who goes for it.
Yeah, and also as a result, probably top 5, top 3 Dracula performances. Yeah,
he's been voted. But the actor's name who played Dracula, he's got a strange surname, Duncan Regier, is that how you pronounce it?
Regier.
He was mainly a TV actor. He's in a lot of sort of soaps and that sort of thing. And I thought he was perfect as Dracula. I'm quite surprised he hadn't gone on to.
But do you see who was sort of originally billed to play him, who they were looking for?
Liam Neeson.
Yeah. And that would not have been good. That would have.
But 1987 Liam Neeson. He wouldn't have done much. He'd have probably done that Satisfaction
Mutiny on
film.
the Bounty. He'd have done that with Anthony Hopkins.
So was that kind of this time where he was still cast as the bad guy before he transitioned from there?
But he went for the role, and this guy beat him to it, basically, didn't he?
Thank God.
That's what.
Bloody right.
Yeah.
That's nothing against Liam Neeson.
No.
Liam Neeson, a Polypup, or I can't remember what Forbidden Planet.
That's Leslie Nielsen.
Oh, Liz.
Liam Neeson's from Taken.
Oh,
Leslie Nielsen was Dracula and Dracula Dead and Loving It, which is the kind of, you'd have thought for a film like this with kids in, they'd have gone for the light-hearted, almost camp tongue-in-cheek.
I can't believe I got confused that badly.
It's more full-on, I'm taking this really seriously, actor on it.
Yeah, and it really works.
Yeah.
And it has got some kind of scary bits in it.
Yeah.
And one thing, there's a scene at the end. Does anyone make a note of the line where he calls the little girl a bitch?
Yes.
Put the amulet down, you bitch, or something like that. He really goes for it.
I think it's like, give me the amulet.
Yeah, he definitely. He lifts her up by her neck and says it. No,
not by the chin.
By chin, yeah. Well, yeah. Close. It's the face, head, top end of her.
She lifts
and then he flashes his fangs at her and she screams. That was real because she was scared of him with his fangs on. So even though he sort of stayed in character, he'd never have them on in front of her because then they shot that and just scared the hell out of her. But it was the 80s. That was they'd probably get the film shut down for that.
Some Kubrick nonsense, that isn't it?
Yes.
But I like that whole the method acting but the kids apparently all really got on. Yeah. And that kind of comes through in the film, I think.
Yeah, the chemistry between the kids is strong.
Yeah.
It's one of those few films where the kids actually work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Usually the kids are kind of the crap people in it. And
you might get one or two good kids and the rest you sort of think, oh god.
Yeah, but all the kids pull off.
Yeah. And one of the sort of bullies, the ones who pick on Horace, was the brother in the Wonder Years.
Yeah, Wayne.
He has great hair, one of them as well.
Yeah,
second. Bloody hell, what a quiff he had.
They're good as well. I think all like the kid actors, like ones actually had lines that were all
very good.
Yeah, all very good.
And I think that the writing was quite good because it's quite accurate to how at least I was as a kid. The conversations they have, it's but it has been heavily criticised since for being very un-PC, and Frank Decker's stuck by it, saying, "Well, I wrote it as if I was a kid and how we did speak."
Yeah,
there's no majorly strong swearing in it.
Yeah,
they insult each other, they call each other names. Obviously, the character being full fat kid, which you wouldn't get in a film nowadays, but it reflects the 80s and how it was. I feel,
and also like it sounds like kids probably would call the fat kid the fat.
Yeah, exactly.
12 in the year 1986 or whatever it is.
Yeah, 87. So
86, 87. You're 12 years old.
You would have been that obnoxious, probably.
Yes.
Yeah. I'd hope you would anyway.
But that makes the characters more relatable.
Yes.
And sometimes in family films, the kids are too sweet, too nice, too innocent almost. Yes. In this, they're kind of not.
No, they feel realistic.
Yeah. And they're passionate. I love the fact that they're that passionate about monsters, that they've got their little club and it's all posters of the old movies and they're quizzing each other on it. They nickname one of their teachers Cathead, and they know that's a reference to what Cat People, the old film. And there's lots of references in the film, like the scene with the little girl by the lake is the massive reference to the famous scene in the 1931 Frankenstein where he ends up killing her, whereas in this he befriends her. Lots of Bela Lugosi, the Wolfman. But originally they wanted this to be made by Universal, and then they could do the characters as if it was there from but they've obviously made changes. Wolfman, they've just made him look sort of bigger, and so that one's not so bad because I don't think you can copyright Wolfman as much. But Frankenstein, they've moved the bolts from the neck to the top of his head. He's not
more of a staple effort now.
Like you said, the creature black begin Gilman.
Gilman. They've changed the name of that. The colour of Frankenstein's skin. Dracula's, he's got more red on him, and he's not as
he's had hair plugs.
So they've had to make changes. But when I was a kid, I didn't really notice all that.
No. I couldn't have told you anything about that.
No, they changed enough, but people would still associate with the classic.
The iconic kind of images of the Universal ones, but all of the characters are kind of predate and both exist after the Universal. So I guess there's enough kind of hand expression going on that it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, I mean, all they had to do was avoid making it too much like their.
They just had to not film it in black and white. That's how they got away with it.
They honestly had to. I love how you've made yourself laugh at that loads. He's going for it, but you can't. But in all the advertising for Frankenstein, he was green, so they had to make him not green. And apparently, the original designs, they looked a lot harsher, scarier, so they had to change that, tone it down a bit.
Yeah.
And it all works. I don't think we'd have really noticed either way.
No.
I was only that was intriguing as it's TriStar. I always assumed it would have been a Universal. So
Yeah.
seeing it wasn't,
Yeah.
oh, that's interesting. Look into that.
Yeah.
It's just the fact that it is billed as the Universal Monsters. It's basically in the opening credits, isn't it? Featuring the Universal Monsters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the way it starts, actually, it's got a really dark introduction scene with
It's great.
Van Helsing, or Van Halen as they have written on the wall at one point. And then it does start dark. You know exactly that it's not going to be 100% kiddie friendly.
I think there's another thing that makes it work as well.
Yeah,
It's not all kiddie. It's not all kiddie.
yeah. And I think that's the appeal to. When I first watched this, I'd have been 9, 10 maybe a little bit older. My parents rented it for me, which was a bit of a... but it was one of a group of us, I mentioned this in the intro, me and a few friends just loved this film, and we'd all rent it and go to each other's houses, and every few weeks it seemed, but it was probably only a few times we would. I actually remember when I was in college, it was for sale, because it never came out, I don't think, commercially to buy on video. It was like ex-rentals. There was an ex-rental in a second-hand shop. And we got wind, and like 3 of my mates all tried to get there first to get the copy, and I didn't get there. I think it was actually in not out at Time in Ipswich. It was over there. Well, there was another little record shop near the Spread Eagle called Time. If you don't live in Ipswich, this will mean nothing to you. But I thought I'd mention Out at Time Records because it's an awesome record shop. So there we go. If you want to sponsor us, you can. No. But it was that sort of
underwear. That's what they do, isn't it, on the podcasts?
yeah. But my point for that was that we watched this film when we were sort of 10, 11. Then by the time we were 17, we still really liked it. Whereas a lot of films when you're that age, you don't. And when you look back on it, it's like, for me, the reason I liked it so much is it wasn't this lovey-dovey kids, even films like Never Ending Story are a bit. You still enjoy them though, but it's a bit fairy tale almost.
Yeah.
Whereas
this one doesn't kind of talk down. It kind of talks to a similar level, maybe slightly a bit higher.
It's just a film where the characters happen to be kids in a way, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's not preachy. There's no moral in it, apart from don't mess with monsters.
Or if you're going to mess with them, beat them.
Yes. Yeah. So
make sure you know your stuff before you fight them.
Yeah. And we haven't really mentioned the plot.
The plot's it's there.
Yeah.
It's one of those where it kind of writes itself in a way.
Yeah.
These kids like monsters. It just so happens the monsters rock up in town. At the same time, they find a way on the exact day it will happen that they'll be able to stop all monsters for the foreseeable future.
Quite handy, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Frankenstein becomes friends with them.
Yeah.
Friendkenstein.
I've
demonstrated my worth.
You can
go now.
Yeah, see you later. Which I think that bit's a bit. Dracula sends him on a mission and he don't do it and he befriends them. But that's just the point that you needed that bit in the film.
Sense of the character as well.
Yeah. But that's the sort of heart in the film is the friendship between Dracula and the little girl Phoebe.
That shot where they're all walking along.
Yeah, that's
the best shot.
That's a good shot, and it's again one of the times where another film we probably would have had it like a big montage, or would have had it like a big heavy kind of try and make a big fun game of it, where it's just a simple
walking down. With the
less is more.
That was watching it. The idea that Dracula's never concerned because Frankenstein's monster goes missing for about a day, at least from the monster's lair, to fulfill his devious mission. But no, they don't seem concerned. So it's like they have written him off.
Yeah.
Well, also to be fair, Dracula's trying to get to the amulet underneath the house. That's probably the excuse.
He's preoccupied with being evil.
Frankenstein was going to snake.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
He kind of gave him the opportunity. Go on, mate. Go on, you do that. Let's get that out of the way now.
Yeah. I was just thinking that scene with them walking off. If this film would have been a hit, that would be maybe the iconic, like
that would.
when you see Danny from Karate Kid on the big beam thing.
That'd be like the one like be like on professionally made posters and stuff.
That sort of thing. And
I did kind of want to have that picture on like one of my wallpapers on.
It was my background picture on Facebook for a while. Yeah, you got your actual picture of you when you're all happy and grinny. Then you had the background picture, which old people, if they're over a certain age, never have a background picture. I don't know if you noticed this. Yeah. It's just nothing.
Yes.
So Mum sort it out. But yeah, they always just a zoomed in picture of them for this same picture, which you get quite a lot.
It could be much. Could be like my mum have no picture whatsoever. Like
no picture at all.
Yes. I keep saying that she needs to have a picture. She's not a will account.
Yeah, well, it might be my anyway, the Monster Squad.
Monster Squad. We got on a Facebook tangent.
Yeah, and another thing to mention is that Frank Decker, who wrote and directed the film, was only 27 when he done it, and they reckon that on set he was like the extra kid. So I think he was young enough to still get it. And
an actor's director.
Yeah. And probably bonded with the kids better than say an older director would. And it's really it's very 80s.
Yes.
But when you think about it, he'd have been a kid in the early 70s, so things hadn't changed as much in that time. Yes. Whereas like now, the 15-year gap, you've had the internet being more used to, so he could probably relate to them more than say if
it had been made in 2007, for argument's sake.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so but it has got that real 80s feel. There's only one montage bit in it, which is awesome. Where a song called "Rock Until You Drop's" playing, I think. And they're all doing the stuff to defeat the monsters.
They sent the leather jacket Rudy out to get some arrows, stakes, and bullets. They kind of leave him as the actual heavy duty man, don't they?
Well,
to be fair,
he's
cool. Why is he hanging out with them?
He's hanging out with them to perv on the girl who's getting changed constantly.
Oh yeah, he's really cool until he starts being a pervy blackmail guy.
Yeah,
he's not that cool.
Their tree house where they have their meetings is opposite a window of a teenage girl about his same age. She's a sister of one of the lads, and she is constantly just getting changed.
Oh, is it the sister?
Well, I mean, I suppose it's perhaps not constant, but people do get changed quite often in their day-to-day lives, don't they?
Do they?
Well, sort of like in the mornings and the evenings and that, and sometimes.
If you're Mr. Ben, yes.
Yes.
What, do you not get changed then?
I wear the same clothes all the time. Once a day I'll get changed. That's a bit
but I mean,
of work.
this film's set over a few days, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose if he's there the same time every night, I'll let you off.
I suppose he must have a window.
It wasn't like they didn't have a montage of her getting changed. That would have been a bit weird.
That would have been that'd have been 70s and a bit more European. Than a very American 80s film.
Secrets of a Monster Squad.
But we mentioned the 80s tune "Rock Until You Drop." I don't know who it's by. I think it was probably written for the film. You mentioned the music. There's the score.
Fantastic.
Which it's a guy who done Silverado.
Ross Broughton.
I'm trying to.
I don't think I've made that up. I think that's true.
Brent Broughton.
Bruce. Not Broughs. Is it Broughs?
Brent.
Bruce.
Is it Brent?
Yeah.
Mr. Broughton. Mr. Broughton, who's got Emmys to his name and an Oscar nomination.
He worked on
48
do you know what the Oscar
was for?
I think it was the Silverado.
Yeah, Silverado's what that came out a few years before that, and the makers wanted him to. Say?
He got picked by something else, one assumes.
Quincy and Hawaii 5-0 as well. Let's not forget that.
The Silverado is a very 80s western. No, that's a good film.
Not as good as this, though.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
no,
it's good.
Silverado is probably Kevin Costner's best western. Controversial. Ooh. It's definitely Kevin Kline's best western. If you've seen Wild Wild West, which isn't a western. I think the score really works.
Well, less about Wild Wild West.
Yeah. But I think
that film.
It's a great film. Great film.
All right.
Carry on.
But I think the score really works. It's got that horror feel.
I almost wanted more of it.
Yeah.
Because it's of that quality, particularly those opening credits, like we say. When they've got all the actors coming, that bit of the score is perfect. It's up there, if anything, and it's almost you're missing it later on.
It comes back right at the very end as well.
But it sounds like it's almost like imagine the Universal monster films.
Yeah. So it's
research.
It's what it's.
I get the impression they didn't.
No, that's the thing.
He wasn't really interested. He just sort of went for it and it kind of worked. I don't think he was one who sort of watched all these films and was like, yeah, let's get into the zone.
Well, John Williams.
No.
But the director said that once the film had been shot and he was a bit worried, when they got the orchestra and started putting the music over it, it brought a tear to his eye, because that's when it hit that it was going to work. And I really think, in general, the music really helps it. We were sort of talking earlier before we started recording about how the you don't really get music like that in films now, or it doesn't seem like it. There's nothing memorable.
Music nowadays, for my money, is just kind of brief bits of sound at the kind of allotted moment, rather than kind of actually trying to do anything with it.
It's because they use all sort of filler music from other films, and so then they try and make something as close to what they've got from that, and then it just
and also
endless
expanding soundscape.
Well,
because everything's got this sound effect nowadays.
Hasn't done anything interesting in 25 years.
Unless it's, I think some of the Marvel films, a lot of them they use like the Guardians of the Galaxy, they use like actual bits of soundtrack, but it's actually sound from the film. But also the soundtrack Mark Wahlberg did for Ragnarok was really good.
I did that.
That was a bit different. Wasn't it?
Yeah, I know.
I like that.
But then I suppose you've got Captain Marvel and Guardians of the Galaxy, where they just take sort of hit singles, and that kind of works in a different way.
Yes.
In the way the montage does business, and the rap at the end. The Monster Squad rap, which is friggin' awesome. We're the Monster Squad. It's amazing.
It's like Citizens on Patrol, isn't
it? It is which is another banger.
Yes.
That's a good song, isn't it?
I think just one thing, definitely what's in this film, I feel like it is probably one of the most criminally underrated films I've ever seen. It's so criminally underrated.
When you look at films, what I remembered, I mean, we'll compare it to the Goonies. So and I think it's aged a lot better than the Goonies.
Yes,
but it might, the Goonies is considered, it's in the sort of top 100 at least of the 80s. It's probably in a lot of top 10s of the 80s. And I feel this film, it's made after, and it might not have even been made if it wasn't for the Goonies. It's not a blatant rip-off. There's similarities.
No, it's got Dracula in it, so it's better, isn't it, really?
Well, I think the plot works better. The characters are more likeable.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, don't get me wrong, I do like the Goonies.
Oh, of course.
But there's a classic.
But there's scenes in it where the kids are just yelling at each other, and it's a bit, it's a bit annoying.
Yes.
Whereas in this, no.
No, the kids.
Brolin in Goonies doesn't do it. He's a really, really good actor, but in that he gets on my way. But the sort of the equivalent, the Rudy lad in this film, is much more likeable.
Yeah, and
apart from when he's being a blackmailing perv.
Yeah,
apart from that, he's very good.
It's a shame that none of the actors really went on to do much after. I mean, Rudy was in a TV series with Fergie from Black Eyed Peas for years, called Kid Incorporated, which I imagine is an American thing. What didn't get shown over here. If it did, I don't remember it.
Yeah.
And other than that, I think he lives off being in this film, which is
fair enough.
It's a shame, but I mean, nowadays with Comic-Cons and things, they can't they? But it's the young girl who played Phoebe's still working in TV and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think with a film that bombed this heavily, it might have been difficult for, especially for a young actor. I mean, the guys who played the parents, that's something, probably didn't affect their career at all, because they're character actors doing lots of stuff.
Yeah.
They'd have the stigma of being in this massive plot.
It's one of those things. If you've got yourself to the casting, you've in the queue of all the other child actors. If you haven't got anything to prop your name up with, you don't go, I was involved in that massive flop, hire me.
Yeah.
It's sort of like a minor Jake Lloyd syndrome, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So
but the thing is, though, they're actually good actors.
Yeah.
All right. Let's be nice to Jake Lloyd.
Sorry, Jake Lloyd. Yeah. I know you're having a bit of a tough.
I'm sure he's listening.
Yeah.
So one thing we haven't mentioned is the special effects, which is done by some of the guys behind Ghostbusters.
Yeah. Boss.
I think
it is Boss.
Yeah, possibly.
The lightning is very Ghostbusters.
Yeah. Well, it's one of the taglines for the film, which were on the poster and trailer. Well, there's three I can think of. But the main one was, you know who to call when you had ghosts, but who are you going to call when there's monsters? So that's a massive reference to that. Never send a man to do a kid's job was another one. Mm-hmm. And then my personal favourite, call them for a monstrous time. which is not many of the posters you see now because it's. Yeah,
it's crap.
That's, yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, but the taglines are very kiddie, and it's one thing we were going to mention is that who did they aim this thing at film at? But the special effects, how do you think it stood up?
They're decent. They kind of they're that say Ghostbusters kind of vibe where they feel rushed in a way, like good idea, but maybe needed to study a little more.
Yeah.
But they don't. They age no worse than any other effects.
Exactly. It's aged no worse than any other 80s film.
Yeah, I think if it got a decent, what do you call it? Blu-ray releasing. They could probably clean it up and it could still look pretty good.
Yeah.
There's only moments where sort of the flying scenes. That's something doesn't.
Yeah, they have sort of there's too many bits kind of where they got benches flying and it gets into that weird, slightly poltergeist territory where you think, perhaps they should have.
Yeah,
less is more.
Wires.
Yeah, but
they should have watched The Exorcist.
Yeah. But the makeup and sort of that side of it all looks good. Yeah,
the matte paintings are stunning.
Yeah. I think it does feel a bigger film than it probably was. I mean, I said earlier the budget was 12 million, which for then
not big.
No, not huge at all.
But when you're only making 3 million,
3.7 million only. But I'm pretty sure it only got a cinema release in America because there was another time it said worldwide gross and US gross was the same. And when you look at a film like recently Alita, the
James Cameron
produced one, that didn't do so well in America but made its money abroad and made a big profit, so it might even get a sequel. So
I also heard that people now visiting America, and that apparently a lot of people have been praising it for has been one of the better anime like some adaptations.
Yeah, I mean, I actually really enjoyed that film. I thought it was great, and probably should get a sequel. There was rumours there was going to be a sequel to this probably about 10-15 years ago, but never happened.
Now's the time to do it.
Well, I think it's had a little bit more interest because of Stranger Things and Super 8 and things like that, and people are looking back on this era, and this is kind of the hidden gem.
And 80s revivals are sort of finally good.
Yeah. But the 80s is that decade what's been retro since about 94. It's that, there's something kind of likeable and fun about 80s films like this. And I mean, I haven't looked at what films were released around the same time, but that could be another reason why it flopped. The first one we ever reviewed was Masters of the Universe, released the same year. And two films were, I think, deserve to be a lot bigger and
kind of both don't quite know what they're about, I guess.
You're right, and who they're aiming at. Because Masters of the Universe was a bit too dark for kids, really, wasn't it?
And it was also very stupid.
That's what I do.
I won't sure about, but then again, I grew up with the 90s version of Masters of the Universe.
Oh, the 90s cartoon of it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I never saw that. Do you mind me asking how old you are?
I am 28.
Okay, so you're 10 years younger than me, so that makes sense.
Yes.
Because I watched the 80s version, you watched the 90s version.
Yeah. That was actually done really well. Got me into it. I had the He-Man and Battle Cat.
Yeah, who was Cringer, his pet. Which there was an awesome dog in this film. Which
Pete. Unsung hero.
Yeah, they don't really even hear the dog's name, did they mention that?
I think that it's quite he's listed as Pete.
Yeah. He's listed as Pete.
Yes.
Oh, that's
because Pete played by Kevin.
Okay, awesome. I'm glad you noticed that. But there's the dog acts, which is great, and he's sort of looking at where the monsters are and being scared. And the best bit is when they all do like the high five thing, and his little paw goes on top. That's I wonder if we could get an interview with him.
No, but I think
he doesn't know English.
He speaks Spanish.
Yeah. I think he's kind of also into that Squad Hunter Monsters. He's a beagle, a mountain breed.
Fun fact. I like this. We'll bring in different stuff to it, but
I think it kind of is one of them dogs in popular America at the time. And also, I think Snoopy the beagle.
Yeah, cool.
But good ears, isn't it? That's why.
But was there a dog in the Goonies?
No.
Never seen it.
Screw you then. Oh, well, you haven't seen it? What?
No. Never seen the Goonies.
Oh,
I have too much stuff to do.
I watched the Monster Squad, and you made the
exactly.
right choice.
Yes.
So we covered the special effects, and I think
Dog licks envelopes.
Yeah,
Needs mentioning. That's the best bit.
That is
Sorry.
But I really like that gag of there will be spoilers, I don't care. That quite well, sort of halfway through the film, Eugene, the younger kid, just writes a letter, "Dear Army guys," and then
Wolves in Confederate hat. Yeah.
yeah, well, yeah. Basically, there's monsters come and help,
Yes.
and then at the end, after they've resumed, saved the world.
Yeah.
The army show up with who's Eugene,
Yes.
and that's kind of how it ends, and
Yes.
that's a nice little throwaway gag you got in these sort of things. Another brilliant joke involving Eugene is there's a monster in my closet.
Oh, I like that.
Oh,
Jack
Dad
was
goes
brilliant.
in, yeah.
Yeah.
That joke was brilliant. Dad opens the door and he's not looking and he's stand.
Yeah,
He's
that-
like kind of involved and he opens him and the monster sneaks out the window.
Exactly. Yeah, it's
That's the mummy.
nice sight.
All right, you monsters, all you get out.
Yeah.
Yes,
And,
that was great.
And there's one there, and that's probably the second most famous scene from the film, apart from the Wolfman's Got Nards, which
Yes.
we mentioned earlier on, which is the quotable line. They named a documentary after it.
Yes.
There's a European dance song with that bit, the quote mixed into it. Apparently, I've never heard that. But that would involve listening to European dance. But
We just listen to
wrong with
it.
yeah,
The only way I'd have improved that bit with Eugene and his dad, just imagine if it had been the coach out of Teen Wolf, a previous film discussed on this podcast.
Yeah.
If it had been him playing that role, that
Yeah.
would have
You
been
would have got
good.
it perfect.
that would have
Yeah.
been something
But-
else.
yeah,
If he's chewing his gum at the same
Yeah.
time.
yeah. But the guy is good. He's like, oh, it's that sort of. But yeah, I mean, the adults in it are kind of underused, which it works the effect of, because you see the film through the kids' point of view.
Yeah.
You know, like in some films, you'll have the adults, and almost like a teenager or a kid will represent the audience.
Yeah.
Whereas in this, I'd say the younger two, Phoebe and Eugene, represent the audience
Yes.
because they want to be part of the gang.
It's a little bit like Peanuts, I suppose, isn't it?
Yes.
yeah.
Although they are
Well, I
actually
didn't get- I didn't-
three-dimensional characters.
But then again, also, reference again, Peanuts, like I said, the dog.
Oh, of course.
BB.
Yeah, see. But I'm guessing there was a dog in The Little Rascals, which is
Yes.
maybe an influence. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
that
there
kind
was
of-
a dog
that
in
kind of-
Little Rascals, and I believe he was a pit bull.
there we go. See, I haven't.
I have very, very useless.
It's very useful for this. It's well worth it. And I want to watch The Little Rascals now. I always think of isn't it The Simpsons when they made Moe was a member of The Little Rascals. There was in like one episode 30 years ago, but I remember that. But I mean, I think it's one of the questions I was going to ask is, do you guys think this should have been a hit? And I'm guessing that's a yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
It deserves
yes.
to at least make its money back or turn
Yes.
a profit, innit?
Yeah.
Yes, I feel this film was very, very hard done by. Like, it was clearly made with love. The actors are on point. I can't think of a bad performance in that film.
No. Yeah.
It was just. It's a great fun time. I don't understand
Yeah.
why no one went to see
Well,
it.
it's, I mean, I think
Comparing
it's-
to say-
Sorry.
Oh no!
I
So
didn't interrupt you there.
compared to like Teen Wolf, for example, which you say we watched a couple of weeks ago,
Yeah.
that feels like a low-budget film.
Yeah.
Like it feels like they edited it in about the space of 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Where this looks good.
Yeah.
It actually
They're
it is a real film.
They've thought it all through. There's so many references to the old Universal films, even some of the names used and that sort of thing. And it looks massive.
Yeah.
It does.
It's
The sets
surprising
and,
that it-
yeah.
Was it just a
disappeared
bit
from that
late?
trace.
Was it, much like Masters of the Universe, was it a bit late to capture whatever sort of cultural zeitgeist might have been going on? I don't know.
Well, this is the thing. I think possibly that. Yeah, I mean the monster movies from the 30s, 40s had died off, but then people would be watching the repeats on TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But maybe just monsters weren't the cool thing. Ghostbusters was around for sort of 5 years. It was still big, so maybe they were thinking if people like that, they might go for monsters. But it just might not have seemed cool enough when it came out.
Yeah. Well, because some people, I think, at the time, it kind of got criticised for that sort of element of combining two genres like that is normally a sign that both of those genres are kind of sort of creatively bankrupt at this point.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a fair diagnosis,
No.
but I can
Yeah, I mean,
sort of see where they come
and
from.
also
That might have put people off watching it.
yeah, and it not getting the worldwide release,
Yes.
which we mentioned, and
that
then
must have been the main factor.
yeah, and the fact that I think it over here, as I also mentioned before, it only came out on video to rent, not buy. So the way rentals
film
work,
you've never heard of.
yeah, and it's like the video shops will buy the rental copy, and then they make the money how many times they rent it. So people like me who would have rented it, me and my friends would have rented it 4 or 5 times. It'd have got no more money for that, would it?
Yeah.
It's not like when you stream something nowadays. The money you either buy it or you get a bit of money each time you rent it. So I think more people probably saw this than you'd think because of the way the video worked then. I might be, but that's how I'd see it. And then it about 5 years after it was made, it would have been on cable in America late night, that sort of thing. It was definitely, when it was shown on TV in this country, it was on late night.
Because I'm assuming it. Cause 15 over here, I'm assuming. I'm assuming it would have been an R or.
No, it was a PG-13 in America.
Really?
A lot of films that are 15 over here are PG-13 in America.
I mean,
in America,
that's
like
about what
Gremlins, isn't it?
Sort of should be, really. I think, but
I
wondered if maybe the higher rating had made
I
it
think,
difficult for.
Well, I think
probably why it did get put over here. Like maybe they thought, we could bring this somewhat kids over here and go, it's rated at 15.
Yeah, I mean, I think
there's no point releasing it because no kids will go see it.
No, but I mean, it being a 15 when I was 8. Or 10 or whatever it was, made it more interesting. Whereas in America, when it was PG-13, it's about 12-year-olds. So people over 13 probably don't want to watch a film about 12-year-olds. And they're on maybe if they'd have done a poster with just the monsters on it or something instead of the kids, they might have sold it differently. I think watching it as an adult, it's nice because you can sort of relate to being young.
Yeah.
But would you have gone to the cinema to see that? Personally, I'll go see anything. I like that kind of film. I would, but I think the mainstream wouldn't.
No.
So if a film came out now about, you're sort of 20s and then on late 30s, but if a film came out now about kids fighting monsters, would you go out of your way to go and see it?
You wonder, don't you? I think the mainstream audience.
Yeah. So I mean, so you have
rated at 15. You're thinking, this is
good. Yeah. I mean, but if it was rated at 12, say, like the equivalent of you'd think no. So they'd have to. If this was made now, I think it would be toned down to a PG and sell it for the Saturday matinee market.
And it'd probably be bobbins.
Yeah, it would be. It would probably be animated now, like Hotel Transylvania, and that sort of. And it would definitely be, even though there's some good humour in it, it would definitely be sillier.
Yeah.
And I think the dark side of it works, and then when there's a joke, it emphasises the joke more.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's kind of why I think it's criticised for being too much like other films, but is it?
Yeah.
It's just the theme of the group of kids. That's what's and there's
that's what I'm basically criticising. But lots of films you could make that same argument.
Yeah. And going back to the Goonies was only a PG.
Really?
And also it's a 12 now over here. It's been put up because of the hanging scene at the beginning, I think.
Oh yeah.
But also that had Spielberg behind it, which in the 80s couldn't do wrong, could he?
No.
And to be honest, he made some bloody good films, so you can see why. But
at this stage, as you say, you've got 2 college graduates, and I'm guessing it's a good budget, but it's actually again wasn't big budget.
Yeah.
No, yeah. And I think the trailer and the poster and stuff may have made it look like not as well made film as it is.
Yeah.
It's kind of got that cheesy thing, and I don't actually know. I think it was released in the summer. It would have been a nice film to release at Halloween.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll check that, but I'm not sure when it was actually released. But I'm pretty sure it wasn't at Halloween. But interestingly enough, in the 90s, Hocus Pocus wasn't released at Halloween, because that flopped as well, which is sort of well known as a Halloween kids' favourite now. But that didn't do very well at all when it came out. So yeah, I mean, you can see why the film didn't do well, but as a film, once you've seen it, you kind of think, why?
Yeah.
I mean, it's really short. I think it's 82 minutes, and the studio cut out 13 minutes shorter to get it to under 90, and it ended up being. So when you watch it, you can't think maybe there was bits because it flows really well. It's so maybe the bits they cut out should have been cut out.
I'd have had another 20 minutes quite happily.
I said the same
thing. I don't normally
thing.
say that about films. But
it felt too short. Don't get me wrong, it's faultless.
Yeah.
But I could have had more from it.
I think the only fault I have is just that, like the end, they have like a really good shot where all the credits are on and they start moving again. I think it should have been done that thing that you saw in the night, you just turned into a picture.
Oh yeah, that's that. Yeah, that's more of the direction of it, really, opposed to
Well,
the
is
plot.
this
And,
for
yeah,
the credits?
Yeah.
I quite like
It's a
people
bit of
walking
a-
away when you have the credit.
Bit of sort of Die Hard Ghostbusters kind of ending, isn't it?
yeah.
I don't mind that, to be honest. It's quite
I don't know, I
cool.
think it's a different. I don't know. Maybe
Yeah.
just.
But one thing which is rare, they didn't really leave it open for a sequel at all. Which
No,
which
it's
is-
Well, because
Quite
they
refreshing.
used all of the monsters.
Yeah, who'd they have had?
yeah, but you
That'd be it.
you might have seen down
The thing,
Yeah.
the figure.
Dracula's teeth would have grinned from the ground or something.
Yeah.
You usually get that sort of, but that didn't happen at all. But the ending, it does work, and it implies they're going to have more adventures, I suppose, because they name themselves. We're the Monster Squad, which
That was a very good impression, Andy. I'm very impressed by that.
ooh, we're the Monster Squad.
Thank you very much for that. That was
Thank you.
really, I enjoyed that.
Thank you, Rory Bremner. So yeah, it's a shame there wasn't a sequel. It wasn't a hit, really.
Yeah,
but
I think it deserved me, and also I think they would have struggled to do a TV show because there was actually a TV show called Monster Squad. By this time, it was like actually back to on the Monsters Day where the good guys fighting.
yeah, in the 70s, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Which had no relation to the film at all. But interestingly, there was a series in the 70s called Ghostbusters as well,
It took
wasn't
them
it?
ages to get the rights to the name, didn't it?
Yeah. So I think maybe it's called that as a little nod, because the guys who made this film are nerds.
Yeah.
So they'd have known this when they done it. So possibly they did that. I definitely think the character's called Sean because of the Goonies. I think they'd say, "Hey, you guys," because of that. But they're more almost jokey nods. But there's a lot of really nice references to other films. I do like the fact as well that they make up a ridiculous horror film called Groundhog Day 13.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
And this is 7 years before Bill Murray's Groundhog Day. So people might look back on this and be like, what? But then the description of how the main character died in it is very much like Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
So it's obviously a dig at that. And those are the films what would have been big at this era.
When was
Nightmare on Elm
Fright
Street.
Night released?
That was
that earlier?
80, yeah, well, around the same time, because it came about at the same time as Lost Boys. So I think Fright Night might have been 88.
Oh,
so
right,
around
yeah.
the same time. So that's kind of like this, but an
Yeah, I was going to say
adult version,
this reminded me of that a little bit, but
Yeah.
clearly, as you say, Fright Night's a bit more turbocharged.
Yeah. Well, Fright Night's an 18 for a start.
Yeah,
And,
it's got Roddy McDowell out with the monkey suit.
yeah, they put makeup on him to make him look human. But Fright Night's a really good film. And unfortunately it was a hit, so I can't really do it for this podcast.
No.
But I'd love to. I'd love to. Fright Night 2, though, that flop.
I haven't seen that. I've been meaning to, 'cause it sounds crap.
Yeah, it is. But that's one I actually didn't mind the remake of. It's nowhere near as good, Fright Night, but I didn't.
yes,
It's a classic plot that doesn't make any sense. I love that.
So who needs sense in a film? But yeah, I mean, this was around the era where Freddy Krueger was popular, Halloween franchise was still going fairly strong. You had Friday the 13th. So then to bring these older characters into a film, maybe everyone just wanted to see these modern popular ones as well.
Yeah. Maybe they would have done for a sequel, like have them kind of fight them, kind of like.
Oh, if they could do a follow up now with their kids, and they've got to fight Freddy.
Yes, Freddy.
Yeah, Jason. All this. This is sort of thing they could do in a video game or something.
Yes.
But this has become a massive cult film, especially in America. There's conventions and all this sort of thing. But I'm surprised there hasn't been some sort of either comic book follow up or animated series.
So it's the sort of film you think, particularly with like success post release, that someone, a fan, would have tried to get something going with it.
Yeah, I mean, so there was a planned sequel not overly long ago, but then I suppose with films like this that have got their cult following, you can do a sequel years later, and the audience don't pay to go to the cinema.
Cast are interested usually, don't it?
Yeah, but I mean, look at like Blade Runner, which is one of the biggest cult films ever. It didn't do very well at all when it came out. People love it, and it's been reissued loads of times, and there's merch, there's toys and stuff. And they do a sequel with Ryan Gosling, one of the biggest actors around.
They make a better film, and people don't want to
yeah,
watch it.
yeah, and it's got the original cast.
Controversial. Correct.
Yeah,
Controversial.
Yeah,
And I seen it, and I kind of get why, but I don't get it. Has also because the house has the same vibe as original Blade Runner. Because Blade Runner is not one of them kind of like fast-paced action films. It's kind of like slow, the job, the atmosphere, and 2099 again does that kind of thing.
yeah. I mean, people who liked the original did like it.
Yeah.
This is the thing for me. I actually am not a fan of Blade Runner. I see it's a really well made film,
boring though, isn't it?
but it's just not for me. But I love the way it looks, and I appreciate it. But it's not quite cheesy enough for me, probably.
No.
But so you can see why, if they were to do something, especially big budget for Monster Squad, it would be a risk.
You can say it's not working, I suppose. It's Blade Runner was big budget.
Yeah.
With this was, as you were saying, small budgets. So then if you chuck money at it,
but you think it made a third back of its low budget, which is terrible.
Shameful.
Yeah. But I mean, you don't know. So long ago, you don't know what the release was like and how it was promoted.
That's what it can only have been something on that. It must have been so piss poor.
Yeah. So maybe sometimes the studios don't push. They might not think it works, and it's probably a worry because when they got the guys, the writer and director, they'd done. Although they were up and coming, and then they done the Night of the Creeps, which flopped. So maybe that worried them as well.
They're doing them concurrently, so they've done one project that flopped, and this other thing they're doing. They're kind of like, we're not going to give you that.
Yeah, so they lost confidence in them, but they're probably kicking themselves because both films now are considered classics.
Yes.
So So
I was thinking maybe if you've got it, maybe future episode we could do Night of the Creeps.
We could possibly do that as a sort of special or something, because that's not one I grew up watching, so I don't know much about it, but I do really like it.
Yeah.
But I definitely recommend it to anyone who. There's a special edition Blu-ray out which has got loads of extras on it. Tom Atkins is in it, who is a brilliant actor, who is like one of the cops in Escape from New York. He's the main guy in Halloween 3. Grey-haired guy, moustache. He's in Maniac Cop, the one who isn't Bruce Campbell. He's a really good sort of B-movie actor. Always plays a cop. Brilliant. Nice guy. Spelt Andy wrong when I met him. He put a Y instead of a double E. But he's so talented that he changed it with the same pen, so he didn't have to give me another photo. Well, I could have just told him how to spell it, I suppose.
Yeah.
But I think I did. But yeah, he was sat next to Adrienne Barbeau. Have you heard of her? She was Barbeau. She was in Escape from New York. She's the one who does the DJ in The Fog. Main woman in that.
Oh yeah.
And loads of Swamp Thing. She's amazing. And them two were sat next to each other, and she laughed at him for making it wrong. And they just seemed really nice, good friends, which I thought was really, really cool when you meet these old actors and when you pay to meet them. But still, but yeah, I mean, that was he's a really cool guy, and it's well worth checking out. And it's a shame, really, that they had that little reference to the Monster Squad in Night of the Creeps, that they couldn't do a crossover with these characters possibly, and a franchise could have not been made because they didn't make any money.
If they did both do well, maybe they would have put another sequel. So another monster they could have had. Another thing they could have done: zombies.
Zombies, sort of emerged the two.
Yeah.
There must be. But did they get all the? I mean, Bride of Frankenstein was a cool character, but that's owned by the studio, so they probably couldn't have done that. So they did cover them all, really, didn't they?
Yes, they killed
the Things were the only one, sort of like the 50s version of.
Oh yeah, they were. Yeah, sort of,
I don't think the Thing was a Universal count as the one Universal Monsters.
No, exactly.
Universe, I don't know.
That's that era. But we haven't really mentioned the Mummy, because there's a great scene where the Mummy's there's like in the car trying to get away, and the Mummy grabs on the back.
Oh, the dog grabs the bandage, gives it to...
Yeah, the dog's the hero.
Yes.
And they put the part of the bandage from the Mummy on a bow and arrow, shoot it, and that's the end of the Mummy temporarily. Or is it the end of him completely?
I don't think he comes back.
No, I don't think he comes back. I think...
okay.
Because the film was 20 minutes too short.
Yeah. maybe there's like another 20 minutes or so, like maybe like it comes back and it gets killed off again, or maybe like as the parents come along, they won over the Mummy Skull. I think there's one scene I would have liked as well. Would like to see the Mummy Skull get one over.
Oh yeah, that'd be good. I was just seeing on the DVD there are deleted scenes.
Ooh.
So it might be worth.
Some of them were edited back in for the sort of TV broadcast, weren't they?
Well, okay.
I read that.
I've seen
There are definitely different versions of it.
Yeah.
So that'd be interesting. I think possibly in the next couple of years, when it's 35 years old, especially now Stranger Things has come out, there might be that special edition come out again, which would be really cool. And the documentary that came out 2 years ago now, I don't know how to get hold of it. But it might be on a streaming service or something in America, because it's that sort of, it's bigger over there, as we've said before. So what we'll do now is ratings from everyone out of 10. It got 7.1 on IMDb, which is the highest by far of any of the films we've done so far. Which is a good for a film not done that badly. That's a really good score, I think.
Yeah.
So
Where do you hear my score?
okay, we'll start as you're excited. We'll start with Owen.
I'm going to go 7.5.
Oh,
Yeah, 7.5.
Yeah.
No, I don't think that needs any.
What would you rate the soundtrack?
Soundtrack, first 20 minutes, probably an 8. And for the film overall, maybe a 6. But that's underused, perhaps. But, filmmaking.
Okay, Andrew.
I'd go a bit higher. I reckon 7.8. Why not?
7.8. Excellent. And how would you rate the hairstyles in the film?
Oh yeah, but that's got to be a 6.9, surely.
Excellent. Oh. And Luke.
I'm surprised you, Aaron and Andy put them so low. I would probably go, probably. I virtually don't see a lot wrong with it. Probably like a 9.2 or something.
9.2. That's
The
good.
only reason is because I gave Super Mario Brothers an 8, I think, and I liked that slightly more than this. This is probably a better film.
Probably.
No, but I think it's just like I said earlier, acting's on point. It's probably has one of the best group of kid characters in a film ever.
Yeah.
It's like you can tell how well it's made. Like it's just like I think I think it's a little bit part because I feel like gosh hard done, but I think maybe I might be buffed up a little bit. Only by like, a few decimal points. Just
I mean, it's great because you've literally just watched it and you loved it. It's really good to see or hear if you listen. And how would you rate the rap at the end out of 10?
Oh, I'm a massive fan of it, but I'll give it a 8.
There you go. That's good. That's above MC Hammer and Vanilla Ice together.
Yes.
Thanks to all of you for joining. Hopefully we'll get you all back at some point for another one if you're up for it.
Yes.
And also I do really appreciate you hadn't seen it before today, but you actually all researched it as well, which is pretty cool. And it's been fantastic. I've really enjoyed watching this, as you can probably tell. Thanks to everyone for listening. Please get on the comments, the sharing if you want. This is sort of a personal thing of the films I grew up with, but if you do want to throw any our way, or my way, really, let me know, because it might be one I've forgotten. And the best thing about this so far is actually revisiting these films and not just watching them, studying them. So that's pretty cool. And remember, Wolfman's got nards.
Yes.